innocent woman confessed to Missouri murder. Was the real killer a cop? The Sandra Hemme case. In November 1980, Patricia Jeschke was brutally murdered in her apartment in Missouri, a crime that would reverberate through the justice system for decades. Sandra Hemme, a young woman with a history of mental illness, was convicted of the murder. She has spent over 42 years in prison. Now, her lawyers are fighting to prove her innocence, arguing that her confession was coerced and crucial evidence pointing to another suspect was suppressed. This is the story of Sandra Hemme, a case that raises profound questions about justice, mental health, and the integrity of law enforcement. Give a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. The initial investigation focused on several individuals, including Michael Holman, a local police officer. Holman's connection to the case quickly raised red flags. He possessed Jeschke's credit card and attempted to use it shortly after the murder. Holman claimed he found the credit card in a ditch and provided an alibi involving a woman named Mary. However, his alibi was riddled with inconsistencies. He refused to draw a diagram of the motel where he claimed to have met Mary, and when pressed further, he requested a lawyer and stopped talking. Despite these suspicious circumstances, Holman was only listed late as a suspect on an index of 201 leads. This raises questions about the thoroughness and impartiality of the initial investigation. Alongside Holman, initial charges were filed against Joseph Wabsky and Sandra Hemme. Wabsky's charges were quickly dropped after his alibi was confirmed. This left Sandra Hemme as the sole suspect in the murder of Patricia Jeschke. But was Hemme truly guilty, or was she an easy target, vulnerable due to her mental state? The answer to that question lies in the details of the investigation and the circumstances surrounding her confession. Sandra Hemme's background is crucial to understanding the complexities of this case. She had a long history of mental illness, institutionalization, and drug use. Her struggles began early in life. She started smoking marijuana at a young age and attempted suicide at 13. She spent significant time in psychiatric institutions, diagnosed with hearing voices and heavily medicated. Her lawyers argue that her mental state made her particularly susceptible to coercion during police interrogations. The evolution of Hemme's confession is perhaps the most troubling aspect of this case. Her story changed dramatically over multiple interrogations. Initially, she claimed Jeschke may have given her a ride. In a second interview, she implicated Joseph Wabsky in the murder. Then, she described witnessing Wabsky murder Jeschke. It was only after Wabsky's alibi was confirmed that Hemme confessed to the crime herself. Her confession only began to match the evidence after being shown photos of the crime scene. She claimed she lost it and confronted Jeschke, stabbing her. She said she discarded the knife at a battlefield park in Lexington. The inconsistencies and the way her story evolved raised serious doubts about the validity of her confession. Was she truly confessing to a crime she committed, or was she simply repeating what she was told? Hemme initially pleaded guilty to capital murder to avoid the death penalty. However, the judge rejected her guilty plea due to inconsistencies in her testimony. After a recess, Hemme provided a more detailed confession, which the judge accepted. She claimed the motive was drug dealings. Later, Hemme recanted, claiming her lawyer and prosecutor told her what to say. The Missouri Court of Appeals overturned Hemme's conviction due to ineffective counsel. Hemme was retried in 1985. This time, the stakes were even higher, and the questions surrounding her guilt remained unanswered. The 1985 trial was a pivotal moment in the case. The trial lacked physical evidence and eyewitnesses. The prosecution relied heavily on Hemme's inconsistent statements. The defense attorney highlighted Michael Holman's potential involvement. A hair found on Jeschke's bedsheet had similar characteristics to Holman's. Despite these doubts, the jury found Hemme guilty. After Hemme's conviction, new evidence began to surface, further implicating Michael Holman. His criminal history was revealed. Holman was arrested for insurance fraud and possessing stolen property. Crucially, Jeschke's gold wishbone-shaped earrings were found in Holman's apartment, Witnesses also reported seeing Holman's truck near Jeschke's apartment on the day of the murder. Forensic analysis revealed that Holman could not be excluded as the source of latent palm prints discovered at the scene. The FBI requested Holman's fingerprints for comparison, but it remains unclear if they were ever provided. This accumulation of evidence raises serious questions about why Holman was not more thoroughly investigated and why Hemme was convicted in the face of such compelling alternative leads. Even within law enforcement, doubts about Hemme's guilt began to emerge. Lloyd Pasley, a former police officer, believed Hemme was innocent. Pasley suspected Holman was the killer and that evidence was mishandled. Pasley recalled a service weapon reported stolen by Holman was found but cleaned before testing. He stated that a lieutenant was also convinced of Holman's guilt. These concerns from within the police force highlight the deep-seated unease surrounding the case. The Innocence Project is now involved, arguing for Hemme's exoneration. They argue that evidence against Holman was suppressed. They claim Hemme's confession was coerced due to her mental vulnerabilities. A forensic psychiatrist determined Hemme's vulnerabilities increased the likelihood of a false confession. An initial hearing is scheduled for July 10th. If exonerated, Hemme's prison term would be the longest known wrongful conviction of a woman in U.S. history. The Sandra Hemme case is a stark reminder of the potential for injustice within the legal system. It underscores the importance of thorough investigations, the protection of vulnerable individuals, and the pursuit of truth, no matter how long it takes.